Welcome back to Light Talk, where everyday people can share their spiritual journey stories in a unique way. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, please click on um, email lighttalk423 at gmail.com. And while you're at it, click on that like, share, and subscribe buttons. And today we've got a special guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself and she'll tell us her stories.
Yes. So my name is Janine. I am the owner of the Fiery Concoction. And I am excited to be here doing
And
this
thank you for being here.
podcast with you. But I basically started an organization, or it's basically a solo holistic health practice that is centered around the use of creativity to experience profound healing. This organization is basically a manifestation of my own healing journey. I started my healing journey in 2020, and it was actually because I had hit a crossroads. I think most of us begin that healing journey when we're just tired of being tired. I kept repeating a pattern over and over again. And my pattern was I kept going back to unfulfilling relationships. And so I kept going back to the lessons. We don't typically move on until we get the lessons. And so I finally decided to surrender to the lesson and learn the lesson. And that's when the healing began. So how I started my journey was with meditation. I had to build the connection with myself. I taught myself not to trust myself, from not listening to myself, which, that abandonment of self. And so that's how it started. I started to basically teach myself how to listen to my intuition. We all have intuition, and sometimes we don't hear it because we're not connected to it. So I started this connection. I began listening to myself. And along this way of healing, I began doing things and I didn't know how I knew what I was doing. I was doing crystal grids. I had never done crystal grids before. I was making shapes, and I'm like, I don't know what any of this stuff is, but my intuition knew what it was. And a lot of it was around journaling. I guess because I had never listened to myself, my intuition just wanted to talk to me. My higher self just wanted to just communicate, just to talk. And there was a point, so just some experiences that I had. I remember I journaled a long time on a relationship that I kept going back to. And as I journaled, I would see things. I would have awakenings to aspects of the relationship, and it would cause me to just break down and cry. Like that releasing. And I remember I was sitting there and I go, you deserve more than this. You are worthy of a beautiful love. And I don't know what happened with seeing that, but I broke down like ugly cry. I'm in my I actually created a meditation space in my home at that time, and I would sit in a circle, and I would have candles or like tea candles or something around me. I would just sit, but I remember sitting in that circle and ugly crying, and I could feel myself shedding layers of these things that connected me to the past or connected me to things that I was no longer in alignment with. And it was only because of the journaling and the releasing. And so as I would sit in this circle and I would meditate and I would, journal and cry, I was removing blockages. So we talk about the three psychic knots. I recall one day I'm sitting in my circle, and I'm working. I think a lot of my work was centered around healing my heart. My heart chakra was a huge piece of my puzzle. And so one day I'm sitting in this circle, and I had just finished meditating. I meditated to binaural beats, and I was getting ready to journal, and I felt like this really weird feeling. It's kind of hard to describe, but it felt like so I'm sitting there, and then my heart just starts, like, my heartbeat starts racing, and I'm getting dizzy. I want to write, but my hands are shaking. And so I remember talking to a shaman about that, and she goes, "That was the psychic knot in your heart chakra, that just unraveled." And I was like, "Oh my God." So it was just amazing, all that work I had done. And then even with the piece about being creative, I've always had like low self-confidence, low self-esteem. Of course, that sometimes travels with us, from past experiences. I know for me personally, it traveled with me from my adolescent years. When you're developing that sense of who you are, where do I fit in the world? And so I remember I'm thinking, how do I present myself as the highest being or my highest potential? And when we're children, our imagination is powerful. We can
Yes.
really manifest anything as children's because we're completely tapped in. And I go, I'm going to do that. So I created a cloak of confidence. I would get up every morning before work, and I would tie the cloak around my neck. I envisioned what this cloak looked like. I'm like, it's a long flowing gown so that I can't run. People have to see it. They have to notice it. It's teal. It has silver little specks in it. And when I wear it, I look like the queen. I really embodied this cloak of confidence. So I noticed when I would wear it, I would feel so confident. Like I would exude confidence. I'm walking upright. I'm not looking down. Used to walk down, I would walk with my head down. And so I stopped doing that. So every day when I got home, I would untie the cloak, and I would put it on the back of my chair. So after like several weeks of doing this, I forgot about the cloak. I would stop wearing it. It was insane. It was so insane. Another thing that I would use for as I use paint art. I One of the focal points of my practice is intuitive painting. So I started painting also in, I want to say 2021 is when I started painting. I would meditate first, and then I would just paint. I would just sit and paint. And I found myself painting like things that would show like this is what's in me. Like this is where I am on my journey. And I found it weird that my intuition was speaking, through the paintings. I saw this quote, and it said, if you want to know the beauty, within you, create something. And I think that is so true, because that's the way our intuition speaks. And so I would find myself doing so much painting, and I discovered I like abstract art. I call myself an abstractionist. Am I a professional? Not at all. Not by the least, but at least it's the way that, my soul expresses itself. So with painting, I get to paint these beautiful pictures, and painting taught me so many things, like there are no rules. We on our spiritual journeys, we tell ourselves there are these rules, and there aren't. There are no rules. There is only the experience. There is only, creativity, because that's one thing that we disconnect from, our creativity. It taught me releasing attachment to outcome. I think that is one that so many people suffer with. So I used to, in my life, want to control every aspect of it and not just experience it. to really be mindful of it and be in the journey. And so through painting, it taught me to just have patience and continue to create. Because painting is a lot like life. We are creating, we're creating our experience, we're living our experience. And that also taught me there are no such things as mistakes. When I was painting, I would mess up. And I'm like, and I want to quit. And I'm like, no, just keep going. And I found out those mistakes weren't mistakes. They were actually, and those mistakes were the things that made the painting, which I thought was crazy. But again, that's a lot like life. Sometimes we make mistakes and they're the best mistakes of our lives. And painting also taught me about being present because we're in such a rush to get through life. But when we are actually mindful of our experience, when we're actually an active participant, and when we're in the moment, we have the best experience. And it also taught me that we don't just have this one awakening. Through each painting, I awaken to some aspect of myself. I awaken to something about myself. And the first awakening is the awakening that you are connected to everything. You are not separate from anything. So every color, every brush stroke, every aspect of that painting is a mindful choice because we have choices. We have that power to choose. And that's one thing also, painting also taught me was to be confident in my choices and not to second guess. And it also taught me to be open, not to just be closed off because when we close ourselves off, we think about the infinite number of possibilities that we could have. I'm learning all these things through spirituality. It's teaching me so much about myself and it's teaching me so much about the world. I feel like if we are manifestations of the universe itself, having this human experience, I can tap into it all. I have limitless knowledge within me. I have so much power within me. So this whole awakening process, this awakening journey, you're not just awakening to yourself, you're awakening to all the details. You're awakening to everything. It's because you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's so much bigger than just us. We're in this vast universe connected to everybody, everything. So it's about awakening to the part of the whole. We're a whole. And I think that that's what keeps us in this limited type of mindset, not knowing I'm connected to everything. I think of myself as a ripple. I'm a ripple effect. Our connection is going to set out a ripple. This podcast is going to set out a ripple, and ripples don't stop. They go on for infinity. You think just because we don't see them that they stop, they still go on. It's like that. It's like the what's it called, vibrations. The vibration continues to go on. We are the vibrations. So I this whole journey has taught me a lot. I'm learning so much about everything, myself, the world, just in general life. So yeah.
And that's such a beautiful way of saying it, is it like a stroke of paint is just what you're saying. It's the starting of a ripple effect, and the rest of the painting is the effects of that stroke.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. What a beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah. I just, and there are so many experiences that I've had. Um, so a lot of the things that I learned about, like just with the brain, I think that the brain is the most powerful connection that we have to the universe. The brain and the universe are complex in nature. You know, they are both complex systems. And so what I've learned that when I would, and this is why I feel like we have multiple awakenings. There are times where, you know, when you reach your vibration, some people may feel like they have headaches, or they may feel like, you know, different aspects of their awakening, themselves expanding. And so I would tend to get, after a painting, I would give a headache, you know, kind of like, okay, you just kind of went up a little bit more, you know, you go up. But I feel like, you know, we have this end goal, but there isn't an end goal, because it's all a lifelong thing. It never ceases to exist. Knowledge is like a rubber band, it expands, and so is our consciousness. It's a rubber band, it just expands and expands and expands, and there is no limit to how far you can stretch that. Now at some point, yeah, it will pop, because you can't go but so far with the rubber band. But that just goes to show you how much knowledge and wisdom you can acquire. I mean, it's you can't even see the boundaries or the edge of the universe. There's so much knowledge out there. And so I feel like the same goes for when we're on this awakening journey, and we're, you know, and there's so many stereotypes that I hate. Like, I hate the word woke. You know, I don't like that word, and there's just so many different things that I've disassociated with. But I also noticed, you know, when I began to remove blockages, my gifts that I came into this existence with awakened. We all come here with gifts. And so I began to, you know, read tarot and oracle. I tapped into, you know, my healing abilities. I'm a healer. I'm, you know, I do Reiki, I do chakra healing and balancing. Um, One of the focal points also of my practice is shadow work, you know, tapping into our shadows. One of the ways that I was doing that myself was through nakedness, connecting myself to that vulnerability that you experience when you first come into existence. We come into this world naked, so what better way to tap into that powerful vulnerability by being naked? And so I used, you know, just being naked. I spent so much time, as much as I could, being naked, so that I could get used to myself. And it also teaches you not to wear a mask. You know, I don't feel the need to cover up. I can be authentic. I can show who I truly am in this world. I don't have to wear a mask, because I've confronted myself. And I think a lot of the times, you know, when we think about healing, it's not external. Healing is not external, it is internal. So your external world is, in fact, a replica of your internal world. Because as soon as I began healing, my life began to change. Now, we can say healing is beautiful, but it's also hard. It's hard, and it can be ugly. And
Absolutely.
yes, it can be very hard, you know, having that dark night of the soul where you're in the darkness. But, you know, the universe is composed of darkness. And so again, it allowed me to tap into my own darkness, to go into the depths of my soul, to see the things that I needed to see, you know, to have that illumination, so that I could be, you know, live in my highest self, and to thrive in my highest self. So going in, and the process of just interacting with trauma, going back to trauma. These are all hard things, and they can be very triggering. So, you know, the healing journey itself is, it's not all dark, it's not all light, it's not, you know, and we think that dark and lights, one is better than the other. They're not. They just are. The only difference between the two is our perception.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, so it's just I'm learning so much, you know, and to think it all started. with creativity. It's all centered around creativity. Having that brain heart connection. I think that's the most powerful connection, there is. Because if the brain is what, connects us to the universe, and if love is the highest vibration, that is truly the way to experience profound, transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you say it in such a beautiful way. You have that wording. It's just beautiful how you say it. And you're right. You're right. That's how it is. I mean, there are darkness times and there's light times, but it's all in growth, and it's all
Yes.
just a painting in progress.
It's all a painting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
all a
feel like
painting.
I, have always told people that I've come across, painting teaches you so much. You know, it teaches us that you are the artist, you are the author, you are the illustrator, you are the manifester, because that painting that you paint is what you create. And just like our lives, we are creating our lives. We are making the choices, we are making the colors, we are making all these different things, and so I have chosen to kind of create my life with creativity. I want to express it. I want my whole life to be an embodiment of artistic expression.
And it shows. It really shows. You have a beautiful glow with you, and it really does. You really show the confidence. You're showing all the beauty and the spirit and everything within you. I mean, it really shows.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a
Yeah.
long journey, and it's not over, again, but I want to really thrive, in my highest potential. I want to be in my highest potential. And, when I step out into the world, that's what I want to show, not the surface, but I want my soul, my essence, my core being to lead throughout my life. Because I think that when you have that connection, you're able to really make informed decision, or you're really able to see, this is my calling, and you're able to live a purpose driven and a purpose fulfilled life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing how everyone has their own journey, and that's what this podcast is about, is everybody's own journey, because everyone's
Yes.
unique in their journeys, and even mine is so much different than what you're going through, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. And one thing
But
I always, oh, I'm sorry.
oh, no, you're fine. But we all come out in the same way.
Yes.
I mean, we all
Yes.
come out in that beautiful picture, and no matter what that picture looks like, it's all beautiful.
Yes. And that's the thing, because nothing in the universe expresses itself the same. Nothing in the universe is having the same journey. When you look at two leaves, although they look identical, they are having their own journey, and microscopically, they are different to the core. Even identical twins are microscopically different. So, and that's one thing, I have always told myself, I don't want to compare my experience to others. Now I do want to have conversations about it, because when you sit at the table and you have these conversations, these are amazing conversations, because you're having the same journey, but you're experiencing so different. You're expressing yourself on that journey so different. It's amazing. It's the one thing that connects us all. That's why we're all connected. We are literally all having the same journey, but we're experiencing it differently.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, you have me just like in I don't know what to say. I mean, You say it all. Yeah, I mean, you have it all right there, and you have it in, again, just the beautiful wording and beautiful picture that you're painting.
Yeah,
It's gorgeous.
thank
Yeah.
you. It comes from a lot of conversations with myself.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about your yoga.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do yoga at home. I'm not an instructor by any means necessary. Um, I have used yoga a lot, but I typically find out when when you're doing yoga, it kind of opens you up. You're in this releasing, like, you get powerful reflections in yoga. That whole revelation of we have more than one awakening came through yoga. I was sitting in my little area that I created, doing yoga, and that thought came to me. But it's a powerful way to center yourself and ground yourself. I do a lot of grounding, and yoga is a part of that grounding. So it's definitely the thing that keeps you centered and planted in the universe, or in life, in the 3D.
Right. And the 3D is very hard to deal with.
It is. But I think that it's so hard at times because we forget that we're not merely spiritual or physical beings. We're a combination of both. And so we have to move through the 3D in balance. We have to move through with the physical and the spiritual. And I think that is the key to getting through this experience, tapping into both aspects of ourselves, both that 3D being and that, spiritual being.
Right. Right. Exactly. Oh, so incredible. Like I say, a lot of work, but it comes out to be a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the end.
And
Yeah. What
I put together these beautiful words, but the journey was hard. It's like that diamond going through the fire, and when it comes out so beautiful. Or that phoenix rising, going through the ashes, or Khaleesi the unburnt, as I like to say. But there are, I think that I may articulate it, beautifully, but the journey was not easy. It was a very
no.
hard journey. I'm still going through certain aspects, of those hard, things, but hard times will always come. I just know now, with the tools that I have gained, that merging of my, spiritual and my physical, I know how to keep myself grounded now.
And that's a good point, having your toolbox with you all the time to help you through each and every different situation. You gain another tool to
Yes,
help you through it and to either help somebody else out with it or to help yourself out in another level of learning. It's yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
And that's what the fiery concoction is. It's a culmination of all the modalities that I've used to bring myself here to this point. And I don't tell people what their fiery concoction is. I allow the framework that I created, or the meditation, the painting, the intuitive scribing. I allow them to create their own fiery concoction, because again, my modalities may not resonate with them how they have been for me. So my whole business, the whole point of it, is helping someone else to unlock their fiery concoction.
Yep, and that's beautiful, and that's a great spot to end with. So I appreciate you joining me today, and it's been beautiful, a
Thank
beautiful
you.
story slash painting. And but you're just wonderful. You're a beautiful
Thank
person.
you.
So keep up your journey and keep going because you're gonna rise very high, and You're
Thank
gonna
you.
shine so bright. I'm gonna have to wear my sunglasses around you.
Thank you. And you as well. This is a great platform to do what you're doing. It's needed and it will connect us all. This is all our theme. We're all going through this experience, having our own awakening. So I think that what you're doing is amazing.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Well, I think this is a good spot to close up at. And again, thank you for being on the show. And if anybody out there has any stories they would like to share on your journey, email me lighttalk423 at gmail.com. And while you're at it, click on that like, share, and subscribe buttons. And we will talk with everybody later. All right. Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.